Hi guys, it's Sienna. Welcome back to my channel. So I don't know about you guys, but for the longest time I was obsessed with different personality tests that you can take online. I remember specifically the Myers-Briggs type indicator, I think is one of the most popular ones. It is a major trend in Korea as well, to a point where there's so many memes about the different personality types, and when you meet your friends, we're constantly talking about it. I understand that your personality, especially the Myers-Briggs indicator, can change over time. So a lot of people just, do it for fun, but it also helps you understand yourself a bit better and what kind of working environment you are going to excel in. I remember having to take it for college as well. Professors would make us take it for an assignment that we had to do when we were looking at different internships to help us figure out, for those that were kind of struggling, what kind of environment that they would thrive in. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the struggles that I have being an introvert, specifically an INFJ. So let me explain a little bit about the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Myers-Briggs type indicator is divided into 16 different personalities. You can fill out a self-report questionnaire online, and it helps break down all the different personality types, helps you understand how different personalities perceive the world and make better decisions. So it's breaking down into an introvert or an extrovert, sensors or intuitives, thinkers or feelers, judgers or perceivers. So if you're interested in that, you can read more about it online. I am an INFJ, which is an introvert, intuitives, feeler, and judger. I actually heard that it's one of the more rare types of the different personality tests. Only a small portion has it, but when I read about it online, I do see a lot of people that have it, so I'm not sure how rare it is. So I want to get into some of the things about being an INFJ. First of all, when I tell people that I'm an INFJ, a lot of people are super shocked because I'm surrounded by a lot of extroverts. Most of my friends are all extroverts, and they all think that I'm an extrovert too. When I tell them that I'm an INFJ, they're like, You're an introvert? I always thought you were an extrovert. Which is crazy because I get that a lot, especially being on the internet and being very active on the different social media platforms. And when I go out on the streets, sometimes people come up to me and they recognize me from TikTok and they're like, oh my gosh, wow. Or when I go for different jobs as well that have scouted me from these social media platforms, they expect me to be so hyper and outgoing all the time, which I am very friendly and I try to smile more. However, I don't have the same internet personality in real life. Like if you meet me in real life, you'll realize that I'm actually really shy, and when I'm around people that I'm comfortable with, I am very quick to be silly and open up, but around new people, I get really awkward. So I think that's very interesting that a lot of people think that I'm constantly hyper and extroverted all the time, which also goes into a bit of my next point. It comes off as rude sometimes. I think a lot of introverts struggle with this as well. They come off as unapproachable, but in reality, you do want to make friends and you don't want to mingle and stuff, but it's just hard. I have a resting B face, so when I'm not talking to people, when I'm by myself, I find that literally no one approaches me, and I realized later on that they were kind of intimidated by how I was looking all the time because I look mad. And even when I meet some people that recognize me, I do want to be a lot more friendly and stuff, but I just get so awkward and I come off as rude. So that is something that I've always struggled with ever since I was a kid. I feel like your core personality is hard to change sometimes. I feel like I'm still carrying the same personality that I had when I was a little girl, and although I have gotten a lot better at socializing, but I do feel like my core personality hasn't really changed, and that is definitely something that I want to work on. I do feel like I've become a lot more extroverted and a lot more social, but I do recognize that there's a lot of parts of me that I do want to improve on, and I do want to break out of my bubble more. Now, as an introvert, you might think that it's really hard for us to make friends and talk to new people, but that's actually not true at all. I love meeting new people, I love making friends, and I love going out and talking to people, being introduced to people. But what I find especially difficult is when I'm being introduced to someone and I'm able to strike up a conversation and be friendly but it's really hard for me to maintain that conversation. So I feel like a lot of the times when I'm put in new environments where I'm meeting new people, the conversation dies out over time. My boyfriend is an extrovert and we go to a lot of places together and he introduces me to a lot of people, but I find that he's very good at carrying on the conversation and keeping everything light and always asking about the other person. But for me, that's something that I had to work on, especially going to all these places with him and seeing how he interacts with other people. I also read into a lot of situations a lot. So if they say something, if they look a certain way, I'm like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to, you know, talk about this issue, or maybe she's done with me. And then I think that's how I make it awkward, because I care too much about what the other person's thinking instead of what I'm feeling and thinking. So it's really hard to maintain that kind of conversation. It tends to die out really fast, or it tends to get awkward pretty quickly. But I do find that if I meet another person that's also kind of the same personality as me, quite introverted, not a loud personality, then I'm more comfortable to carry on the conversation. And the same thing applies to having friends. I do have a lot of friends, and even in Canada as well, I was very quick to make new friends, and I loved going to all these different events and socializing. But now when I look at my life, I really don't have a lot of friends. So it's really hard for me to maintain friendships. And it does make me really sad, because I think the older that I get, the more I cherish the type of friendships that I had in my school days, because now I have a lot of acquaintances, you know, people from work, people from working out, people from my hobbies, and people I'll meet along the way. But it's more so business related, and it's hard to find genuine, authentic friendships now. So yeah, it's just something about maintaining friendships is really difficult. I'm not very good at texting. I'm not a great texter. I don't like calling on the phone as well. I do enjoy going out, but only with the same people that I've been going out with. And I need a lot of time to rest at home, and I think that's where the introvertedness comes from. After a while, my energy tends to drain, and I do need a lot of time to recover at the comfort of my own house, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because the older that I get, the more I realize that it's very important to spend alone time and to spend time developing on your own self. As humans, we are very social creatures, and we were made to socialize and live in this world with other people. So I do want to work on that certain aspect. And going more into maintaining friendships, I realized that I have a really hard time opening up to people. Even if you've known me for many years, even if we call each other best friends already, I tend to build a wall after a while, and it's not a good thing, because I grew up thinking that that was a way of protecting myself from pain and being betrayed. But the older I get, the more I realize, yeah, there are some things that it's alright to keep to yourself, but when you keep making a habit of doing that, of making friends, becoming closer, and then eventually building a wall where you don't want to discuss certain things with them, you tend to feel very isolated. But at the same time, for me, I start craving attention. I'm like, why isn't that person reaching out to me? Why aren't we hanging out as much anymore? Why isn't she calling me? But I'm the one that kind of built the wall between us in the first place, and I don't really recognize that for a very long time. I have days where I'm so grateful about my circle of friends, and I have other days where I feel so isolated and I feel like no one really understands me. I think that's the biggest emotion that I have struggles with. No one truly understands like all the deepest parts of who I am. When I'm around certain people, I act a different way. When I'm around another type of group of friends, I act another different way. And then I come home and I come home so drained, because I spent all day trying to be all these different personalities for other people, and I started to lose touch with who I am on the inside. I feel like the older you get, the harder it is, no matter what personality type you are, to maintain friendships, because you get so busy, and after a while you start to form your sphere of influence around your career or around your interests and where you are in the world. I have my best friend that I met when I was in elementary school. She is in Australia. I haven't seen her for so many years. She visited me last time in Korea about 3 to 4 years ago, but I haven't been able to really talk to her, see her very much, and it does make me sad. And at the same time, I'm really grateful that I still have her in my life. The last topic that I want to touch on that I don't like about being an INFJ is, for me specifically, I don't know about you guys, but saying no is really difficult. I've only been able to say no a couple more times the older I get. I remember I used to watch talk shows of these women in their 30s or 40s, and they would say there's a lot of things that they miss about being in their 20s, but being 30 is awesome because you start to not care anymore as much, and I can't wait to get to that point. But I do feel the older I get, the less care I have for other people and what they think of me, because at the end of the day, I am who I am. I'm going to surround myself with people that accept me for who I am and will call me out on my behavior and will critique me. It's not about surrounding myself with people that's going to love me all the time, but it comes from a place of love. And I realized you can say no to a night out, you can say no to a certain favor that makes you uncomfortable, and they're not going to hate you for it or be petty about it. And if they are, then they didn't really have the best interest at heart. Over the past few years, especially in my middle school, I've had a lot of people use me when I came to Korea because they thought I had a lot of money. There's certain stereotypes that some Koreans might have where if you lived abroad, it means that you come from a really rich family. But that wasn't the case for me. We came back to Korea because we were struggling a lot, and I had to work really hard to be able to afford my university in Canada as well, and my living expenses. But growing up in that environment when I was in middle school, where people would purposely forget their wallets and expect me to pay for them, and I could see what they were doing, but still I had a hard time saying no because I thought they were gonna hate me. And over time I did grow out of that, but even now I have a hard time saying no, and that's just some things that I want to work on. Today I just wanted to sit down and have this open conversation about some of the things, struggles, and improvements that I want to make as an INFJ. I'm really curious to know about your personality. If you know the personality type, please let me know down in the comments below, and some things that you want to improve on. I think that pretty much wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more sit-down videos. If you want to talk about anything, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at siennahong, and if you need a good laugh, you can check out my TikTok as well. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!